Hi everyone, this is Korosh Erfani and today is Saturday, March 7th, 2026. We are reporting the 8th day of the Israeli-American war against Iran. Right now we have something like 75% of the available aircraft of the United States present in the region. 75% of everything that is as available aircraft carrier strikes groups only and only for one country. One country that, according to Mr. Trump, whose army has been completely crushed, whose navy had been destroyed, and they are completely obliterated. So we don't know why for such a country, United States needs something like 75% of everything available as the aircraft carrier strike groups. So in order to understand that, we should know that the United States is putting a little time to realize that it's losing this war. A war that is just in its 8th or 9th day, and it's already lost. And there are more and more comments, analysis, and the people are telling us that it's over for Trump. And as you can see, Daily Mail had a very good article today talking about how everything is lost for Trump, and that's why it's talking about the fact that his presidency now is at stakes. What is in the balance is not only the future of Trump, but also the future of the United States. Because when we see everything that is happening right now or is going to happen, we can see that lots of issues are either actually or potentially waiting for the United States, and by extension, waiting for the global economy, right? Let's review some points with this regard. For example, the Strait of Hormuz is shut, is completely closed right now, and don't forget that now 20% of the world's oil, and according to some other sources, 25% of it cannot really flow through, right? So we started to have the rise of the oil barrel almost around $100, and for sure for the weekend we are going over the $100 already. A few hours ago it was $96 per barrel, and we for sure we are going over $100 in a few hours, 1 or 2 days. So that's the first point. The Strait of Hormuz is completely closed, and we should know that still the Houthi are not really in action, because they are able also to completely shut down the Strait of Aden, Bab el-Mandab. And if it's the case, we are going to have a serious crisis for the world trade. This, for now, one of the major maritime way to go toward Europe, Israel, the Suez Channel, and if it's closed, that would be a major issue for the global trade. Another issue is that for now, we can see that the missile capacity, the ballistic missile capacity of Iran remains intact. Israel and the United States are talking about something like 3,000 operation, 3,000 points that had been hit, but still the people are talking about at least 50% of this ballistic missile program that remains intact, which means that Iran is able to act by dispatching this 15% remaining for weeks if it's necessary. On the other hand, its capacity of sending the drones, remain intact, untouched. So that's another reality that the Americans cannot really deny, and we understand that they are trying really badly, Israel, United States, to do something in order to reduce this capacity, but it doesn't work. Some sources are talking about even that the factories that are producing more missiles or more drones for Iran are hidden almost everywhere, and these are the factories that had been disguised, and the United States or the Israeli intelligence, they don't know where they are, so they can bomb the whole Iran, just 1,650,000 square kilometers in order to destroy them, but it's a little big, and it takes almost 10-20 years. So that's why they are, not only they have them, but also they are producing. So there is a continuous fabrication of missiles or drones here and there, underground or somewhere, and it's almost impossible, even theoretically, to be fully destroyed. So that's another point. The idea of the regime collapse had completely vanished. You remember that under the orders of Israel, their puppet, President Trump, repeated several times that regime is done, the regime is over, the regime has collapsed. I have to determine the leader. We are going to have someone over there. Nobody should be leader, otherwise we will kill. So a lot of narrative and rhetoric regarding regime change, but in fact and actually nothing is happening. The regime is there, good or bad, is there, and is acting, is functioning, and we know that we are far from anything that could be considered as the regime collapse. Not only that, many analysts are talking about the fact that by killing Khamenei and a lot of people around him, they put an end to the existence of the moderate elements of the Iranian regime. You see the paradoxes? So there is not really now an upper hand by the moderate, including Khamenei itself as the leader, as the supreme leader. Now the elements that remain, and they are controlling the country somehow, they are the radicals. They are those who want really do something to harm United States and Israel. So the idea of eliminating, the top of the structure of power in Iran was not really a good idea, because in the aftermath of the Khamenei's death, we can see that those who have the power, including IRGC and some other people, they are determined really to do something huge against these two entities, United States and Israel, which was not the case of Khamenei and his advisors, right? Including, don't forget that, including using the enriched uranium, most probably. This is just a hypothesis. But now they don't have any fatwa, any prohibition, any interdiction by the religious assertions, and they can proceed to fabrication of a nuclear bomb. right? Because they have uranium, there is no more, let's say, religious boundary to do so, and the country is attacked. The country is under fire, right? So that's why, if technically they have this capability to do so, I am pretty sure that they will proceed to to fabricate, to produce the nuclear bomb. They will see, but I mean, when you think about the paradoxical aspect of this this attack, you understand how brainless are those who have decided to do so. So, on the other hand, they were waiting for regime change. And let me develop this point a little. We know that in order to change a regime, you have to remove it physically. And we know by experience that you cannot do it remotely. You know, that was the case of Saddam Hussein in Iraq, Taliban in Afghanistan, and also Gaddafi in Libya. So it was impossible just by bombing or sending missiles and suddenly dictator and dictatorship disappear. It doesn't work like that. It never worked like this. All right. What's the solution? You have to go there physically, materially. You have to put the grounds and do something. Do physically, you know, removing the dictator, which was the case, the fake case actually, for Venezuela. Let's say for the Iranian case, there are three possibilities to do so. First, you send the American soldiers to find, I don't know exactly who, because who are those who represent the Iranian regime right now? I don't know exactly. We have some ideas about a few figures, public figures like Larijani, Pezeshkian, and so on, but we are talking about a system. We are talking about an institutional framework that is working. You know, you are talking about the IRGC with more than 190,000 forces, you know, and you cannot really know exactly what to remove, who to arrest, who to be assassinated. So the idea was that if we kill Khamenei, the regime will collapse. It was not the case, because we have a multi-layer system over there. So each layer can be replaced by another one, and as long as there is something that is functioning, providing the public necessities on the one hand, and the security on the other hand, we can talk about a regime, right? This is what's the definition of a regime. Providing the water, power, food, and at the same time assuring the protection and the national security, right, in the borders and internally. So the current Iranian regime is doing so, and we are far from the status in which the regime is not able to do it, right? So that's the first way. You have to send, let's say, soldiers, commanders, and with something between, I don't know, 100,000 to 500,000 people into Iran in order to do so. We don't see that, right? Nobody can imagine that. And even Trump is talking about this just as a threat, but almost everyone is sure that the United States cannot do that, won't do that. Okay, that's the first possibility. We have to put it aside because it's impossible. We are talking about the potential casualties between tens of thousands soldiers to much more. Okay, so that's why it's unimaginable. The second is, if you don't want really to have the American soldiers killed because you cannot really face the public opinion and its pressure of killing their children, what you have to do is to find mercenaries, right? Those who are ready to have money, weapons, and a promise for the future, and they are fighting for you. So we saw in this past day that the United States and Israel tried really to see if they can mobilize the Kurds, the Iranian Kurds, in order to send them inside Iran. But the resistance, the Iranian resistance on the one hand, and the huge negative feelings of the Iranian public on the other hand, make them really regret that. So that's why now there is no such a thing. And today Trump has been questioned with this regard, and he said that no, he is not going to arm the Kurds to send. Not because he doesn't want that, because the Kurds now they don't want to do so, right? They know that they will be massacred and they will be hated by the Iranian nation forever. So that's why it's not possible, even though it's desired and essentially by Israel, but practically they cannot really do that. So the third one is uprising. Make in such a way that you can bring the people into the streets, right? And send them to the government's building and institutions and put an end to the life of the regime. So we don't see that anymore. The Iranian people are aware. They have a kind of, we can say, collective historical consciousness regarding the danger. As soon as their future is at stake, and I am talking about the future of their country, right? They are very conservative, right? They are very cautious, and they are not ready to become the puppets of the cannibals like Netanyahu or the stupid people like Trump, for example. They don't do that. And in the absence of these three possibilities, you can never think about changing regime in Iran, right? It's just impossible. So we can see that none of the objectives that Trump had set as goal, as objective, none of them is sure to be realized. None of them. I can tell you that on no account could anyone imagine that there would be a successful undertaking by the United States through this operation. The military operation, the war that had been set by Israelis, right? And the United States had to follow Israelis because of the Epstein file and because of the threat of assassination that Israelis are setting up against Trump. Of course, they are accusing the Iranians to wanting to do so, but we know that that's an Israeli plot. And Trump knows that if he doesn't follow exactly the Israeli agenda, there would be a possibility, not only for the Epstein file, but also the possibility of assassination. So now we are going to have something extremely interesting. Why? Because already, as I told you, we have the rise of the price for oil, for gas, everything, $100 per barrel. Most probably much more if we have just a little structural damage in the Strait of Hormuz. Structural damage means something whose preparation will take more than a few weeks or maybe months. So in this case, we are doomed. The energy market, the global energy market is doomed, is completely condemned to have the worst crisis imaginable. Right now in the United States, we have the gas with more and more higher prices. So that's why the Americans start to be extremely angry, and they are right to be angry, because as we can see somewhere, it's a matter of, let me show you, it's a matter of spending a lot of money just for whatever is necessary as the daily daily move. Here we have the breaking. Oil and gas prices are skyrocketing because of Trump's war in Iran. Can you imagine that from 2.5 and now we are at 3.5 as the national average? So $1 more per gallon is huge, and it's just beginning. Don't forget that yesterday we talked about the quagmire, right? And the fact that the United States cannot get around. Now it's too late. They cannot cut corners anymore, and they are within this quagmire, and that's why everyone is talking about the possibility of President Trump to lose his presidency because of this miscalculation. And it looks like that even you see here, it's a matter of leaked spy report wars. Trump's Iran war faces disaster. Believe me, I found at least 5 articles today talking about exactly the same thing, from the Daily Mail, from New York Times, and other sources. So which means that now we have an agreement by those who are just analyzing the situation. You know, they are not partisan, but they are talking about the possibility of a disaster for President Trump in order to lose the remaining years of his presidency. Here I have another one in the New Republic talking about Donald Trump's presidency is in free fall. All right. Now let's see how it can be more catastrophic progressively, incrementally. Just imagine that the European started to feel really the pressure of this Israeli-American war. Why? Because for gas over there, now they have to pay 50 euro per megawatt hour instead of just almost 30. Less than 30 euro, now more than 50 euro. Is doubling, right? So can you imagine 100% more to pay for gas over there just because of the adventure of Israel and the United States in Iran? Can you imagine that? And we are just at the beginning. Don't forget that. Which means next week at the same time we can talk about maybe 100 euro per megawatt per hour, right? Another thing, the calculation is showing us, you remember yesterday we talked about how much had been lost completely in the stock markets here in the United States. It was around something $2.5 to $2.8 trillion per week, you know, just this week. And now we have a more accurate estimation that goes up to $3.5 trillion, completely wiped out from the financial markets in the United States this week. And the people are talking about the bloody Monday that is coming in 2 days. it's possible to have this bloody market. And the people are assessing that it could go to something like $8 to $9 trillion erased from the stock market or financial markets in general. So you remember Trump was talking about something like this number, $7 trillion coming from the Arab countries for the coming 10 years, 10 to 15 years. So not only now is not any more question of that, but the reality is there, $8 to $9 trillion, most probably on Monday, with the bloody market, if there is no change from now to Monday. With that, the American economy will be most probably on the verge of kind of collapse. We will see. Next week will be a very determining week for the American economy. Because the analysts are projecting that if the Strait of Hormuz stays shut for 1 to 2 weeks, we must be waiting for the oil barrel something between $150 to $200. And these are the minimal estimation. So, where is the victory? Where is the famous success President Trump was talking about? This is a very serious matter, and that's why I would like to develop a few points on that. We have an estimation of the cost of war during this first week, and some people are talking about $90 to $100 billion. So these are the estimations. Don't forget that the numbers are not for now that accurate. Let's just imagine one thing, just to give you an idea about how it can be a very important and integral parameter of the equation for knowing if we are getting a long-term war or short-term or mid-term, and who will be the winner. Let me give you an indicators. Iran is sending the drone, the famous Shahed drones, for example, that is extremely difficult to detect and to bring it down. And it's very destructive, right? That's the particularity of that. So we are talking about something like $20,000, the cost of fabrication of this drone. Iran has to spend $20,000 per drone to fabricate them. But on the other hand, what is necessary to bring it down through interceptors, missiles, anti-missiles, and so on, it's something like $4 million. So $4 million on the one hand for the United States, for the American economy, because even though Israel is using them a lot, but we should know that it's a matter of the things that are paid by the American taxpayers. So the cost is for the United States. $4 million spent at least in order to bring down a drone of $20,000. So the cost ratio is 201. Okay? So now imagine that Iran possesses something like, according to some estimation, 10,000, 20,000, we don't know exactly, but several thousands of these drones. And according to the same estimation, Iran has just used so far, for the first 10 days, something like 10, 20% or 30% of its drone, which means that 70 to 80% of its drones are remaining and can be used. And for each of them, the United States has to spend, if available, because we know that there is a shortage of the anti-missiles, interceptors, and we have heard that even at the beginning of this war, that the United States is going to fall short of interceptors, right? So if it's the case, now imagine that is provided, but the cost is there. The cost doesn't change, right? We are talking about billions and billions of dollars just for one of the possibilities that Iran has in order to hit the American targets or the Israeli ones. Now, just let's imagine if the only possibility that we have had during these 8 days was yesterday when Pezeshkian came out to say that we are very regretful regarding attacking our neighbors in the Persian Gulf, and we will try to stop it. So that was a possibility. That was a sign. A lot of sources are talking about the first step to find maybe a solution in order to decrease the intensity of war, and then looking for other solution in order to have a ceasefire or something like that. But Trump intervened, Trump stepped in and announced that this is it. This is the defeat of the Iranians. They are surrendering. They are asking excuse from their neighbors, and all of this because of the attacks of the United States and Israel. So suddenly everything blew off, right? And Iran started from the few hours ago. At least 5 countries of the region had been attacked because Iran doesn't want to show any sign of weakness, right? Any sign of weakness means death. It means the end of the Iranian regime, Iranian power, and so on. So that's why Kuwait, Bahrain, Dubai have been against struck by Iranian. Why? Because they want to show that no, it was not an excuse, it was not a sign of surrendering as Trump tried to formulate. So we see that this puppet, this trained dog of Israel, does everything that's necessary in order to, get around the possibility of any detention, any decrease of fights, or any possibility for having a maybe peaceful solution. That's how Israel is organizing everything, right? And we are talking about a country that had been qualified today by Professor Jeffrey Sachs as he talked in an interview, he talked about something very interesting and serious. Let me show you because it's very meaningful. Here, he's talking about Israel in these terms. These are the words of Professor Jeffrey Sachs. Israel is a crazy rogue state with half its political leadership in the mindset of the 5th century BC. That's a very important point. That's a very essential remark, because we are talking about the people who are completely, we can say, insane. We are talking about Netanyahu, Smotrich, Ben-Gvir. All these people are the worst that you can imagine, but not in a general term. I am not talking about them by and large, on the whole. I am talking about specifically what they have in their minds. Let me show you something that could be interesting. In order to understand what they are able to do so, I imagined Israel as, we can say, a caveman, right? Imagine the mindset of a caveman with a huge, powerful machine gun in its hands, okay? The mindset of Israel is exactly that I have to go and kill and massacre and terrorize and commit genocide in order to, gain more and more material. This is what I tried to explain in my articles that I published a few weeks ago in ans.com. I explained that these populations didn't evolve. Mentally, they didn't evolve. They have the nuclear weapon, of course. They have the artificial intelligence in the service of the killer robots, for example. But the mindset we are talking about, the mindset is exactly the same that we can find 10, 20,000 years ago in the caveman. That I have to kill, I have to rape, I have to, use any kind of violation, violence, aggression, and whatsoever in order to have more and more the material things. They cannot have any concept of getting to more possibilities, to more land, to more natural resources, or this and that, through something peaceful, normal, like any other countries. They are not able to do so. What they are looking for is just getting everything by deleting, removing, the other side. This is what they are. This is what Israel is. A caveman, with a huge machine gun. All right? And that's why I said that the humanity is in danger. Why? Because this mindset is not appropriate for the human civilization. This mindset cannot fit to human civilization. It's something apart. It's something that needs another planet. Another planet with, another historic period of time. Well, in 2026, in the 21st century, there is no place for such a thing. But you see that they are here. They took control of the United States and many other countries, and they are able to be the most destructive power ever seen in the human history. Let me back to what Professor Sachs was telling us. The second part is even more important. Look, Israel has just plunged the world into probably the Third World War and into a phenomenal economic crisis. You remember, guys, how many times I talked about the possibility of having the Third World War because of Israel? You remember that I said this is my prediction, that this war, the war that has started 9 days ago, is able to bring the humanity into this war. If you, I don't know if you saw the warning of the Chinese with disregard or not, but the Chinese foreign minister came to say that this war shouldn't have started. You see, the Chinese foreign minister Wang Yi says US-Israel war on Iran should never have happened. Why? Because they know perfectly. The Russians know that, the Chinese know that this war cannot be limited if it's not really stopped immediately, in the coming days. If it's not stopped, for sure, we are going to have the Third World War, which will be a nuclear war. And the mechanism is very simple. I explained the intricacies. I said that, you remember, I said most probably Iran under pressure will incrementally be more and more violent, more and more aggressive regarding Israel's target. At a given moment, Israel will have the impression that if the Iranian attacks continue like this, it can have an implosion, because we said that Israel doesn't have any capacity for the attrition war. You remember, right? No long-term war for Israel. They cannot. So if it continues, and it looks like that, we are going there at full speed, believe me. Right now we have almost in a daily basis something like 24 hours of alert and sirens over there through the Iranian missiles, Iranian drones, and from 2 days ago with the Hezbollah coming from the Lebanon. So which means that the Israeli society start to be overwhelmed, and at a given moment, Netanyahu will have either to accept the defeat, which will be a catastrophic, disastrous result for the Zionism, for the world Zionism, not only Israel, which means that Zionism must stop its anti-human project of Greater Israel and creating the global Jewish government, right? So it's the end of Zionism. It's the end of a project after 100 years, while they have planned for controlling the world, in the coming, maybe thousands and thousands of years, right? Just after 100 years finished, if they accept to be defeated, which will be possible at a rate of almost 0%. So what would be possible? Foolish, crazy, insane reaction. What would be? We know that. Bombing Iran with the nuclear weapon. That's why the people are talking about the World War III. It's impossible to have the World War III in the frame of the conventional war. It doesn't exist anymore. With the conventional war, you cannot even have a small paramilitary group like Hamas defeated. It doesn't work like that anymore. So you have to do something consequential, right? And in order to do so, you have to use the nuclear weapons. And with the first one, in Iran, Israel will open the window for the usage of the nuclear weapon everywhere, including in Israel. There are many countries that are waiting for Israel to commit this mistake, this historical mistake, and from that moment you can be sure that they will erase completely Israel, including, for example, Pakistan. Pakistan is really waiting for the opportunity for that. And then Pakistan will be attacked by the nuclear warhead of the United States, for example. And then the Samsung plan of Israel will be activated with 500 bombs for the whole planet. This is it. I know that's horrible, it's terrible, but that's the reality. We are talking about the cancer. The cancer doesn't have any positive effect on the body. Now, The United States will go down with Israel. That's for sure. And we said that because they cannot really detach themselves from Israel because of the Epstein file, because of the possibility of assassination of Trump and a lot of other things. It's impossible for the United States to get away, to get around and evade this disaster that's waiting for Israel. They started both together this misadventure, and I am pretty sure that they will go down together. We have already the pattern that explain why and how the United States will go down. In this pattern, let's call that the pattern of failure, okay? At the beginning, they bring a lot of military forces, several aircraft carrier strike groups over there, so they are sure that they can hit badly their enemy. That's good. This is what they think. For the Afghanistan, they thought the same thing. For Iraq, same thing. For Vietnam, Somalia, and so on and so on. So they start that just by feeling to have the military upper hand, over their enemy. But they hardly have any idea about how to keep going, how to continue, and what is exactly the strategy, what's the goal. They don't have anything. They don't have, exit strategy, we can say. So that's why I used yesterday the term quagmire. It's exactly like, throwing yourself in the middle of a quagmire. So once you are there, you are done. You cannot get out of that. All right? That's why we have to make a big deal out of it. Once you are there, you are done. That's why a lot of people tried to prevent the starting of such a thing. Even within the Trump administrations, the people like J.D. Vance, Tulsi Gabbard were not in agreement with this and prevented and warned the President Trump not to commit this error, but Epstein file, the very filthy, bad, nefarious image and videos of Trump, so it was impossible. Now, nobody could hinder Trump to commit this suicidal decision, right? Nobody can thwart that. Now they are there. And for a few days, they feel really good because they bomb everywhere, 2,000 points, thousands and thousands tons of bombs thrown to the Iranian regime, killing the supreme leader. Everything is fine for a few days. But as there is no exit strategy, there is no strategic plan, they start to, have more and more casualties and the famous cost spiral, right? The costs start to go up incrementally and unstoppably, and at a given moment it starts to be so heavy that the economy feels really what is going on and cannot really bear with that, cannot cope with all this pressure coming from this more and more cost. Because we are talking about, can you imagine if in a few weeks we can easily have several hundreds of billions dollars cost, of a war that doesn't have any end, any perspective, any exit point? Or what about 1 trillion in a month? With an economy that doesn't have really a good status already. with economy, with inflation, with a lot of unemployment, with the impossibility of job creation, and the people start to be angry, really angry. So look at the patterns. At the beginning there is a military dominance, but as there is no really the exit strategy, they accumulate cost, the spiral of more and more money that they have to spend for Afghanistan and Iraq together. They were something like $7-8 trillion in 2012, 2013, and it started to flee. And at the end of the day, they gave back Afghanistan to Taliban. Why? Because of the cost spiral, because of the accumulating debt and impossibility of taking care of the financial aspect, while the things on the ground are not really moving forward. So the public starts to be against, and with the public turns, they don't have any choice, because they are going to lose the midterm elections, they are going to lose the majority in Congress, and then it's a question of the impeachment and a lot of things. Tomorrow, guys, in my video, I am going to talk about how serious is the possibility of having a civil war in the United States, because I am working on that, and there is more and more indication that with the failure of the United States in this war, it's an extreme possibility of having this situation of civil war here. Why and how, I will explain it tomorrow in my video. But let me finish with this pattern of failure. Once there is a public terror and the possibility of losing everything, politically speaking, they don't have any choice but withdrawing. So withdrawal starts, and it costs a lot militarily, politically, geopolitically, diplomatically, because of the costs that are unbearable by society, by the economy, and by the country. So that's the pattern of failure. And the United States experienced it several times. That's the specialty of Americans, to do and redo and re-redo this pattern of failure. Military dominance, they are completely out of the street because of that, out of their mind. So they bomb, they do everything, they kill, they massacre, they terrorize. Today, for example, it had been asked about the school that had been bombed by the Americans, and he said, no, it's not American, that's the Iranian. Iranians killed themselves. That's all, They don't have any sanity of mind. So they can lie as they breathe, right? They can do whatever they want, they can say whatever they want. And the world start to realize how dangerous they are, because more and more indicators are telling us that we are going to have such a massacres, that we had. You remember yesterday I mentioned the Gaza doctrine, right? Transforming Tehran and Iran into Gaza, which will be totally for Israeli okay and even desirable. So let me tell you that now there is more and more consciousness regarding the cruelty of this duo Israeli-American. The people are talking them in the term of terrorists, the state terrorism, and the things like that, which is true. Why? Because they don't have any problem to kill as many as necessary in order just to, meet their goals and objectives. The filthy, nefarious, nasty objectives. I would like to finish with just one point. This pattern of failure is for sure for the United States, which means that if there is any winner in this war, for sure, for certain, that winner is not the United States of America. Israel, behind the scene, of course, is very happy. Why? Because now, by means of the United States, they are destroying Iran, right? They are completely upside down Iran. And they think that Iran will be back for 50, 100 years, and they have to put billions and billions of dollars and some decades in order to get where they were just before the war, right? Okay, Israel can be happy at any moment when the war stops. But who is the winner? Some can say that Iran will be the winner, but Iran doesn't need to win, because Iran knows that it cannot really win against the most powerful army in the world and the fifth army of the world, the Israeli army combined. So Iran doesn't look for winning. It doesn't mean anything for them. Iran just wants not to be loser. The loser means that the one that loses everything, the country, the power, the regime, the future, and everything. So if the war stops, the Iranian government and the entity of the nation state Iran will remain. Destroyed, okay, damaged, okay, but the entity will exist, will last and continue. The real loser will be the United States, And I think Arakchi even formulated it as maybe there is not any winner in this war, but for sure there is a loser, the United States. And that's true. The pattern of failure that I explained is exactly describing the possibility or the certainty even of having the United States as the only loser of this dirty game set up by Israelis. All right? Israel will be satisfied because it has destroyed Iran by way of the United States, with the force of the United States, at the cost of the Americans, right? Iran will be happy because it could effectively survive and it remains as an entity, and then it can reconstruct and this make a lot of changes. The only loser will be the United States, with billions and billions. We don't know when exactly will be the end of this war, but at that time, something between hundreds of billions to trillion even economic loss, the loss of complete credibility of the United States, the end of any trust by the Arab countries of the Persian Gulf with regard to the United States, the suspension of any investment, trillion and trillion dollars in the United States, and of course the United States being seen as a Faria country, as a rough country, that doesn't have any respect for international law or anything like that. So I think that would be the starting point of the end of the American empire, right? This is the poison that Israel is injecting in the future of the United States. This war was that poison that will kill in long term the American empire. The Americans don't know it, I don't know, or maybe at least a part knows it, but Trump with the Epstein file and all the filthy past that it has, he brought the American empire to its decline, to its collapse. This is what is going to be judged, I think, by the history. Thank you very much for watching this video. I have said that tomorrow that would be an important video because I am going to explain the interrelation between civil war and this war, and how effectively one can put an end to the other while one can trigger the other. The dialectic between these two kinds of war, we are talking about American Civil War, internal civil war, and the military war or external war is very interesting theoretically and also based on the facts. And I'm going to develop it and to unpack all the different aspects of this. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope that I can have your support for sharing these videos, for subscribing to my English channel, Korosh Erfani English, and also with your comments in order to have effectively a kind of brainstorming on all these important topics. Thank you.